Gen Con 2017, I'm sitting here at the booth of Alderac Entertainment with John Clare, the inventor of the card crafting system and the designer of several games that use that system. Last year we had Mystic Vale, then this year we have Custom Heroes and also an upcoming game, Edge of Darkness, that is being presented here, is being demoed at Gen Con 2017 in a prototype form.
Yeah.
And John is going to tell us a little bit more about it. Thank you, John.
Yeah. So we brought a handful of sort of nice prototypes that the manufacturer was able to print up for us. The illustrations in this version are mostly final, but the components are still in progress. Edge of Darkness was the first card crafting game I designed. It's a much more complicated game than Mystic Vale. And it's an entirely different game than Mystic Vale. The crossover between the two is that they both use card crafting as sort of the core driving principle. Thematically, we've set this game in the same universe as Mystic Vale. Where the setting of this game is in the human part of the realm, which is on the border of the dark evil realm, where the Necromancer King, incidentally the same guy that cursed the Vales, his empire is. And the humans and that empire are sort of in a cold war. So they're not actually, armies aren't clashing, but the Necromancer King is sort of infiltrating the human realm with corruption and evil spirits and stuff. And that sort of comes out in the game. I've sort of got 5 bullets that I think are like things that are highlights of this game that will explain why it's different and what makes this game sort of cool. And you'll quickly see that it's a very different game than Mystic Vale. One of the core things that's going on is in this game, everyone plays out of one central deck. Okay, and the deck in this game goes here, and the top 6 cards of the deck are always in a tableau, like so. And everyone is going to be sort of, as a group, deck or card crafting the cards in this one central deck. So we're all drawing from it, we're all discarding to it, and modifying the cards in it.
A shared deck.
Yes, it's not a cooperative game though. So in that deck we have a bunch, are you able to see, is the glare? Okay?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay. So in this deck there's a bunch of these unaligned citizen cards, or patrician and citizen character cards. So these represent like important people within the city. In addition, players will have citizen and patrician cards that have allegiance to that player's guild. So the game is set in one of the powerful great cities of the human realm, and each player represents a guild within that city, sort of vying for wealth, power, and influence. So a number of the character cards in the city are going to be aligned to the different guilds, and those are going to get shuffled into the deck. So, like I said, everyone's drawing out of that central deck. So I could potentially draw, if maybe I'm the red player, I could potentially draw this hand. I've got an unaligned citizen, someone else's citizen, and my own citizen. So if I want to use somebody else's card in this game, I pay them to use it, right? And then all the cards are going to get shuffled back in. So we're basically, you're trying to control a different portion of this central deck. And we're going to pay people if they add advancements. If my opponent were to power this card up, I have to pay him for each effect they choose to use on the card.
Ah, I see.
Okay. One of the cool things that you can do in the game, everyone's going to have a set of these ownership or allegiance slips, which during the course of the game, using a particular effect in the game, you're going to be able to slot onto the neutral patricians.
So now you're them, ride them.
So now they're aligned to your guild. So you can get more allegiance of the citizens and the patricians within the city. So everyone's playing out of the central deck. So that alone makes it quite different. It's not really a deck builder. It's not going to feel like a normal deck builder, even though we're sort of all group deck building, one deck, right? So there's that aspect. Most of the actions in the game are actually worker placement driven. I like to describe this game as a medium weight Euro. So a lot of the actions you're going to do in this game, I'll grab this one. Actions often require the use of agents. So this ability means you're going to be placing one of your agents. Agent tokens, we're still working on what exactly they'll look like. They might look something like this though. So when you play, if for example I had the War Council member on my citizen, when I activate the War Council member, or maybe this is someone else's citizen and I'm paying them to use the War Council member's effect, I would take one of my citizens and I would place it on the location of the War Council, right? Which will then have some sort of benefit, right? And different cards, all these different cards will interact with the workers and with the agents differently.
And
Some
the game
don't even require.
and the board has 10 locations, I understand. Like
Yeah, so there's 10 total
there,
locations in the setup.
and 5 here.
The game's going to come with, and these come in sets, so there's a location associated with a set of cards, always. And the game's going to come, the base game will come with somewhere between 20 and 30 of these. We're still deciding the exact number.
So the city will change every time.
Yes, so every game you're going to use 10 of them, but there's going to be somewhere between 20 and 30 of them. Oh, that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, every game you're going to use a set of 10 of those 20 to 30. So you're going to have to think about it differently each game. Okay, so let's see. I covered workers. I covered central board ownership.
So what are some of the actions and that you're taking, and why you're taking them? What is the objective?
So you can train new agents. So you start with a set of these guys, and you can train more ones. One of the going back to the theme, every card in the game. Actually, I'm going to step one back before I jump too far in. One of the things about this game also is that all of the advancements in the game have no cost. Each turn you just get to pick one. So the costs in this game are all opportunity costs, and how the cards are balanced is how intensive they are on using your workers. So a really powerful effect will make you forego more workers, right? You have to use more up of them to place them, and they get locked up at that location, right? Or weaker effects may not require workers at all, and you just get some money or something like that. Okay, so another aspect. All cards in this game, like I said, we're in a Cold War with the bad guys. All cards in this game are double-sided. So on the back side of the card are threats to the city, okay? Which sits, I'll bring this over. This is a very prototypey cube tower, okay? But this is going to come with the game. Something along these lines. We're still working on it. This is our current prototype. It's going to look different, but for now.
Of course, it brings back memories of the Dark Tower.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
The one from the 80s.
Well, so we want it to look. The one that we're going to end up with is going to have. It's going to be probably a two-piece mold, and to fit in the box, and you fit it together. And it's going to be thematic. It's going to look like the dark, like an evil tower, right? So the purpose of this, every turn, people are going to drop a certain number of cubes into the tower. Okay, and it's going to randomize which threats are threatening which players. So right now, let's say we're playing a 4-player game, the second 8 cubes end up on a threat, that threat attacks. And it's going to attack whichever player has the plurality of cubes in it, right? So at some point, one of these monsters is going to trigger. Okay, this monster triggered, right? The cubes here, black has the most, which in this case is bad for all players. When black is the most, it attacks everyone, right? If this were the case, red were the most, so just the red player would get attacked, right? And this is a 2-strength monster, so it will attack for 2 strength. You may be using an effect that allows you to block it. Importantly, as we are adding advancements to our side of the cards to make our cards better, we're also making the monsters bigger. So now this is a 3-strength monster, right? That's gonna, if you go kill it, it's gonna give you 1 victory point and 4 money, right? So we're not only making the good guys better, we're also making the bad guys better. The cards also dictate how many cubes you're gonna pull and how to drop into the tower. So not only are we making the monsters bigger, we're also causing us to draw more cubes so that they attack faster. So as the good guys scale up in power, so do the bad guys.
That's nice.
Yeah, I think that's the high-level overview.
What are the victory conditions?
So it's a victory point-based game. I should do some other high-level stuff. The game is 2 to 4 players, and it plays really well at 2. So it's not like a 4-player game that also can play 2. It plays quite well at 2. And if everyone knows what they're doing, and you don't have any particular AP prone people at the table, it'll play in an hour and a half. For your first game, you're going to push over 2 hours.
Sure.
victory conditions. So it's a victory point game. You're gonna play 9 normal rounds and 1 prologue round. The prologue is the very first round of the game, and it works totally differently, and it sort of seeds the deck with a bunch of advancements. But people are making choices in that round. And then you play 9 normal rounds, and then the game is over. You're going to get victory points for defeating threats, which would require some of these powers out on the board will either allow you to go kill threats or give you more power when you go kill them. You're going to get victory points for every trained worker you have. You're going to get victory points for accumulating wealth. And a lot of your points are going to come from your cards. So every slot on a card you filled at the end of the game is going to be a victory point. So another important reason to own a bunch of cards, not only because other people will pay you for them, but you're giving yourself a chance to sleeve essentially victory points onto cards. So a good chunk of your points at the end of the game are going to come from owning cards if you did a good job at owning cards.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us a sense of when the game is going to be available?
So they're going to kickstart this game. And it's looking probably like February or so of next year, somewhere in Q1 of 2018.
For the Kickstarter?
For the Kickstarter to launch.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
John, to tell us about Edge of Darkness. Just a general overview of the play area. This is how the board may look like. Again, this is a prototype, but the art seems to be, well, pretty solid already.
Yeah. Elena Lemmer did the location art, and she crushed it. And we got a variety of artists who all did a fantastic job on the cards.
Thank you very much, John.
Yeah, you bet.